2011 had to be bailed out. Spain and Italy needed support from the European Central Bank. Even France, the second largest economy in Europe after the Germans, even France and French banks came under stress earlier this month. America is also in deep trouble. The US unemployment rate is high, over 9%, shows no sign of coming down. 1 in 4 homes in the US is, as they say, underwater. This means that the value of the home, the market value of the home, is worth less than the mortgage on the home. The mortgage which the owner owes to the bank. In Washington, there is gridlock. After endless wrangling, almost up to the 59th second of the last minute, the Republicans and the Democrats managed to cobble together an agreement to raise the US debt ceiling so that the US will not fall on its floor. But because of this gridlock, Standard & Poor's, the rating agency, has downgraded the US credit rating from a AAA to a AA plus. And those of you, all of you in the financial industry, as you look at your computer screens, as you read the papers, as you hear the news, over television, over radio, you will have seen stock markets around the world in turmoil, going up one day, falling down the next day. Even in Singapore. So we have to be ready in case Singapore is affected by another financial and economic crisis. And this is why I have suggested that it is not too early for the government to make contingency plans in case we need them in order to save jobs, your jobs. Talking about jobs is more than talking about statistics. Because jobs concern people, you, yourselves and your families. Singapore has a very low unemployment rate, 2.1%. But I tell you, to someone who is retrenched, to someone who cannot secure a job, he or she is not 2.1% unemployed. He or she is 100% unemployed. And this affects not only the worker, but his or her whole family. And that is why over the last 2 months, I've talked to many Singaporeans in all walks of life. The same question comes up again and again. If there's a crisis, is my job safe? Will I be retrenched? And I feel that this is an area where, with my background and experience, I have to make a contribution. Let me share briefly what I feel that I can offer you, the voters. I have worked in both the public and the private sector. I've headed 5 ministries, including the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade and Industry. I was the chairman of OCBC office just next door. My office used to be there. And also the chairman of SPH, Singapore Press Holdings. So I have experience in economic and financial management, both from the public sector as well as from the private sector point of view. This background enables me to share views, insights, and make suggestions to the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Ministers so that they will make better economic decisions, not the President, because the President is not the center of power in Singapore. Remember that. The President is not the center of power in Singapore. There is only one center of power in Singapore, and that is the government. And that is the Constitution. Our President does not have executive powers except in 5 areas clearly specified in the Constitution. In all other areas, the President has to act on the advice of the Cabinet, and executive authority is vested in the government. But this does not mean that the President does not have influence. Our President has access to the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Ministers. Our President has access to all Cabinet